Welcome back to Overfellas. I'm Nicholas.
I'm Adam. Welcome back after a bit of a long hiatus there. We haven't had a video in about a month, but we're coming back strong. Today we are going to discuss villains.
Oh yes. If you cannot tell,
I am dressed as Alec Trevelyan 006.
I am dressed as Dominic Green, member of Quantum. There is an axe in my foot right now. You cannot see.
Perfect.
That's the thing about us podcasters. We record, with the left to right, dictators, liberators. Doesn't really matter to Quantum. Yeah.
And we kept the bite-size episodes. We'll do a 3-minute one, a 6-minute one, and a half-hour one.
Oh, goodness. Yeah. We've talked so far on the show. We talked about a lot of things. We talked about movies, gifts. But we had to talk about what to make films about a Bond film. The bad guy.
Yeah.
And I think you'll agree with me on this, Adam. There's been some pretty good ones.
Mm-hmm.
Some pretty bad ones.
But there's no formula. Like it's tough to crack. And I think you have interviews with the filmmakers and they'll say coming up with those characters, new ones that aren't Fleming, is really, really hard. And so I don't blame them when there's some misfires, because you can see at least what they were trying to do, something new. But yeah, I think there are certain, I don't want to say rules, but if you follow this, you're probably on the right direction.
Yeah. When it's so Fleming, right? His villains are iconic, but he also partly because as I was saying, Bond was his good side, his best qualities, and then the bad guys were sort of his either things he detested or ways to saw himself in a bad way.
Yeah.
Dashing debonair Bond, overweight, murky, the chief in the book,
mm-hmm.
Or Goldfinger, who a man with the worst fashion sense and manners in the world. I just rewatched Goldfinger, and
yeah, I mean, the whole Bond series. I was reading an article by License to Queer, and he was going through just the certain, the same 7 stories are always told, but in Bond, pretty much they're all hero has to slay the monster. So you have to have a new monster every single time. And you have to have the big monster, and then you have his henchmen or whoever else. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think would be the one attribute that a Bond villain can't have?
They can't be bland.
Well, sure. Yeah. Yeah.
I feel, because I was talking to a friend of mine about Roger Moore's films, and because I just rewatched For Your Eyes Only, which fantastic, and it's low-key villain, but the villain has personality, as a distinction. I was saying about Spy Who Loved Me and Stromberg, and I always forget about Stromberg.
Right. I think also because Jaws is such a presence, and he's just kind of droll. He's just kind of an old man.
Mm-hmm. It's just, yeah, you need I'm not sure if it's a quirk, if it's even Elliot Carver in Tomorrow Never Dies has a little something. You can sort of see the gears turning, you can sort of see his style.
Yeah.
And that,
which is, this is why they keep going for Academy Award winning actors now, because they're the only ones who can bring just do something unique and make it weird and make it your own, because there have been so many villains, you don't want to start repeating anything. We've had tycoons, we've had mad scientists, there's certain there's only, I don't know, half a dozen archetypes for the villains, but trying to keep it
ex-spy, industrialist, criminal mastermind,
mad inventor,
yeah, I guess I was supposed to think of I guess gangster, if we want to count Costados, but that,
yeah.
Oh, and I guess Mr. Big Kananga is kind of a gangster. He's also a dictator, so
yeah, he's a little bit of he does everything, a little bit of everything.
he's a complicated man.
Yeah.
So we talk about what it can't have. What do you think makes a good Bond? Because we've seen all sorts of kinds. Before you get to who are your favorites, I want to know what
the check box for me is obviously you gotta have great lair. You need a lair. You have to have some sort of compound base for some sort of final confrontation. And I like it when a villain in Bond, like in Goldfinger, his plan isn't huge. It's like personal. There's kind of like a bait and switch. He's not just this madman who wants to just blow it up. He wants to blow it up for himself, for his lifetime. And that's it. And I kind of like that. I like villains like the one that comes to mind immediately is like Die Hard, which is not a Bond movie, but has that like bait and switch where they're not terrorists, they're just robbers. They're just burglars. And I like that. I don't need, I mean, Bond has to save the world, but I don't need the world's gonna like just explode, you know.
Yeah, it's like
I like smaller, like a From Russia with Love, like a Dr. No, like it's just we're just dispatching the members of something huge, you know, one by one, and they're all different and unique, but I don't need a Blofeld level every movie.
But yeah, Blofeld should be reserved for, you know, the Blofeld type situation when it is such a big deal. When you get, yeah, it turns, because we've seen when it goes wrong, it either turns into generic criminal mastermind archetype who we don't really get a real connection for because they just showed up, or you get, you know, hey, we brought Blofeld back and he's the architect of all your pain.
That's the thing. Yeah, like another thing that I wanted to mention was like, I don't like it, and I'm speaking as dressed up as 006. I don't really need a personal connection to Bond. I think it's better when there is no personal. Like he's just another asshole he has to dispatch.
I agree with you, but I want to throw it not a correlate, but sort of similar. I think every Bond film needs this. You need, before the climax, you need a villain Bond face off. You need that interaction so that when Bond comes destroying the lair, the villain's a little pissed off and, oh, that guy's back. Because you know, Dr. No avoids that, surprisingly enough, because it sort of builds and builds and builds to be Dr. No. Like you get the meet up at the end, like 10 minutes before the climax. So maybe that isn't as strong. But then, you know, No Time to Die, it's still fresh in my mind. Bond and, you know, Safin don't meet till the very end.
Right.
And it feels, I don't get the tension, but I was thinking, you know, even Die Another Day, you get the sword fight scene, Goldfinger, the golf sequence. You know, Cristados plays Bond like a fool in For Your Eyes Only. Like there is that wonderful tete-a-tete, like they face each other, they sort of test each other.
Yeah, it's usually gambling. They meet each other gambling, and or Bond bangs villain's girl.
Or as Elliot Carver keeps saying in Rhino Dies, my wife.
Yeah. Like, you know, like a personal connection to Bond. Like I liked 006. That one worked okay because Sean Bean and Pierce Brosnan had great chemistry. And I'm glad that I saw that movie when I did and didn't see it like a trailer that blew that.
Yeah, it's also before Sean Bean became known as the guy who always dies.
Yeah, he could have really just, you know, I mean, I was 10 when I first saw it, but it fooled me. I didn't know it was coming back.
Yeah, I was like 7, so yeah, I wasn't seeing it coming.
Yeah, and like just they made that work. You know, unlike Spectre, where they're weird half brothers or something, and it's just, no, you don't need Batman. I didn't need Joker to kill Batman's parents. Like it felt kind of like that, where it's like
also unnecessary. I was just talking about that. I was talking.
You know, you're trying to make the movie like this one themed story, but there's a bigger. Sorry, there's a cat here.
Q branch break. No.
Yeah.
But for me, it's on that note. Like because I saw Spectre again recently as well. It's like when you see Franz Oberhauser, you know, from the background at the funeral, like obviously the visual clues are this is the villain, but it's sort of teed up in a different way. And you know, when he's first introduced, it's like this one of, okay, who is this guy was going to be? And then it just turns to, personal grudge, half brother, and it's like you lose the suspense, the build up, and it's just like Dr. No is so perfectly built up in contrast.
Oh sure, yeah, and I think they were trying to do something like that with Safin and try to slow burn him and make him, was like you see him a little bit in the beginning and like a little bit with Madeline and in the middle, but like you don't get the playing cards across the table or that first like little like, oh, the crashes the party sort of thing. Like if Safin was at the Cuba sequence in some way, that might have been pretty cool, but I could see why they didn't.
Yeah. But if you want to say, like you said, Not So Different, License to Kill, and Love of Madeline Swan, you could have had him. Yeah, you said that would probably have done something to improve it.
Mm-hmm.
He clearly goes out in the field, so why not?
Yeah.
But yeah, so okay, I have two big questions for you tied to that. Because we were talking about Safin versus Blofeld and that. I am, of course, just like Dominic Green. I love one of my favorite Bond fights is actually the fight between Green and Bond at the end of that movie because it's brutal and I love that, but it's the whole hotel is going around them, so Green actually has a chance of winning.
Yeah.
006 for fights amazing. Do you like villains that are more sort of like actually take on Bond or rely on sort of like the burly henchmen, say your Herr Stamper, your Odd Job, this and that?
Yeah, like I immediately thought of like Goldfinger and Tomorrow Never Dies, where like Bond would kick their ass given the chance. I don't think Jonathan Pryce had like the Dominic Green axe throwing, but no, I would rather have like an even fight. Like I think of Timothy Dalton had like some of the worst villains and some of the best villains. Like Living Daylights like doesn't really have like a core Bond villain.
No,
like Whitaker comes in way too late in the movie, and Your Own Crab is like
Yorgi.
Yeah, not
That's
really a villain, just more of like a patsy's idiot. And then you get Dario
Sanchez.
And Franz Sanchez. You get a great henchman, you get a great villain. By the time the during the cocaine fueled semi-truck chase, like he and Bond are like it's one of those ones like you guys beat the hell out of each other like equally.
Yeah, and like
one of us is just covered in gas.
Bond's a trained assassin. He should be able to win fights, but like I want to see like I think it is Spy You Love Me. Stromberg tries to shoot Bond with like a really long gun under a table, and Bond's like, okay, whatever, bang, thing? Gone, palm done.
Yeah. Even like and Drax in the following movie.
Drax has personality. I feel like the actor's name is forgetting me. Michael Lonsdale. He has this wonderful lines of like, I must find an interesting way to dispatch you or something like that. At least gave it a little more gravitas, personality.
Yeah.
Same plot, just better performance.
Yeah, and both still like did the whole utopia thing, but still played it very droll. Please see some harm comes to him. Like I think there's a lot of like Dr. Evil in some of those Roger Moore villains. Yeah, like each Bond kind of gets equal kind of crap villains and great ones.
Yeah, I am curious what your favorite.
I mean, Connery kind of gets like they're all pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, Largo fights Bond. Heavy set old man Largo still puts up a fight.
Yeah, and that was I remember I wasn't there next for reading like it was a big deal that the girl kills him. It wasn't Bond dispatching the bad guy this time. I'm like, could do more of that.
Yeah. Has that happened?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't have anything.
Yeah.
I mean, Koskov gets killed by
Bond doesn't dispatch Lashif.
That's true.
Yeah.
Koskov gets killed by the KGB.
Yep.
What's his name? Kamal Khan in Octopussy just crashes his own plane.
Yeah.
Very anticlimactically.
I think Jaws might have the distinction of the only one that kills himself. Or accepts his fate. He does not get killed.
Well, in the news this week was that International Space Station will crash in 2031. So, rest in peace, Jaws, in 9 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. But okay, so you mentioned Living Daylights. This is my thought. Yeah. I had this question when I was watching it last weekend. What do you feel about when it is sort of the group of villains? Even for Mushroom of Love, there's no. I mean, maybe Rosa Clever. You have Kronstein. You have Red Grant, and then Living Daylights. You have Whitaker and Koskov, and then none really since then. But I was just thinking there's
who's the villain of the film? They have a team of them, because I would say that Red Grant is the by and large like the villain. Like he's from the very beginning bad news. And you kind of see he gets recruited, he gets sent on his mission, he's in a parallel thing with Bond. It's not his scheme, but
like
he'd be one of the few
Flair's
that's like a
pulling the
glorified
strings,
like
and it's all Constantine's plan. So
yeah, I don't know, but
I like it when it's done right, because I mean, For Most of Love is one of my favorite movies in the franchise, but Living Daylights,
yeah, it tried. It could have used like, well, I mean, it did have the milkman guy, yeah, but I would love just sticking to the formula, but like it's a tall ask for the filmmakers. Like, now I want a bad guy, I want a henchman, and some other nameless fools that he kills, and that's it.
Well, it's like it's just Purvis and Wade spinning the wheel, industrialist, spy, so that, and then the second wheel is like, okay, scars, immune to pain, blonde and muscular.
Yeah, I think they were grasping for straws with that. Like you know, the formula, they were a little too much on their sleeves. Like, oh, okay, well, we need a new guy. What's his deal? Diamonds in his face. Sure. Yeah, that looks striking. Let's just do that.
Okay. Henchman. We gotta talk henchman, because you sticked it up. I have a really love-hate relationship with a henchman, because when they're done right, they're super great.
Yeah.
But I hate it when like they go to a formula or one tick for Boston. It's just like, and here's our colorful, just like random henchman of a week who's just there to like fight Bond, but the main bad guy does nothing.
You literally have Odd Job on one side and Mr. Kill on the other, where it's just like, all right.
I was thinking Hirsch Stamper, but you somehow did Hirsch Stamper. So
yeah, and you know, and it's like, you know, having the ladies having the suggestive names and stuff. It's like you can do it, but you gotta go just. There's such a fine line, and it's so easy to cross. But walking up to it is also very difficult. Like,
yeah, well, sometimes they try to move away from it. Because in real, the chief had two henchmen whose names are only in the credits, who don't really do much aside from like stand menacingly. I mean, you had like some of it's like supporting guys, like the Lord's Resistance Army guy, and Gettler, the guy with the eye sunglassed out eye.
Oh, right.
He wasn't really a henchman.
Yeah, then also that one Elvis. I feel like they were just really just trying to do the book and not make it so much of like the formula of the films. It's like, if there isn't a hench, like, you know, there was no gadgets in it. If there's no gadgets, then so what? If there's no henchmen, so what? We're telling the Casino Royale story.
And I feel like Casino Royale is kind of like it's the odd one of a franchise, as it is just so much. We're just doing this, and it's not.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about this today too. So like Mr. White kills the chief, I don't know, like 3/4 of the way through the film, but that's where that film completely ends being a movie about gambling and terrorism.
Yeah,
like that movie is over, and then the Vesper story really takes over. And you know, is she the villain of Casino Royale?
Ooh. Now that's going to set off some people on a conversation.
Yeah, like I mean,
comment below, is Vesper the villain?
First Bond girl, and like, you know, from the books and stuff, and then maybe first villain. But then like you can tell like they tried to do like they tried to do a Vesper thing with Electric King. It's like they still didn't have the rights, but they still wanted to do a torture scene, and they still wanted to have a lover betray Bond and ends up being the bad guy.
There's like a quote, I want to say it was from Michael G. Wilson. It was like, you know, with Electro, Bond thinks he's found his new Tracy, but he's actually found his next Blofeld. And does it really hit either one?
Yeah, it's just kind of
Well, and it does make Renard kind of the henchman there too.
I know. I was, when I was the last viewing World's Not Enough, like I really liked the Renard Electra relationship. I thought it was really cool and fucked up, and like those two actors like really sell it. Like Robert Carlyle's like so sad that like that was great. That's Michael Apted right there. That was a brilliant piece of directing.
Like that's like I've said this to you before. Like Wolves Not Enough, I have such a love-hate relationship with, because when it's doing the serious, like fucked up stuff like that, I'm in. And then Robbie Coltrane falling into things of caviar and a chainsaw helicopter, and like
it does, yeah. It really is some of the best and the worst at the same time. And like when we get to Die Another Day right after that, which is the anniversary film, they feel like they need to have mad inventor and industrialist, and he's kind of fucked up because of the gene therapy, so they give the sci-fi aspect of it.
And it was a henchman. Oh my
and
goodness.
then you have a few henchmen.
Yeah, and somehow even though it was an they did not have a muscular blonde man.
All that gene therapy. Well, maybe that's what Zhao was going to become.
Yeah, no, because whenever we watched it, he was supposed to look like just basically like a couple British guys I know who are like kind of like slight and like academic journalists, like my friend James Ball. So I don't know. Zhao becomes a British journalist.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, why not? But yeah, so like,
but it's not like it doesn't work when it's take one from column A and column B. Like, let's make him an industrialist and a mad scientist. Like, I like ripping from the headlines. I would love it for Bond to, like, I don't know, just take on something really real, like a human trafficker or something. So something that I don't think they've really done.
I mean, that was part of what made, for me, For Your Eyes Only so good. Just the fact that Gonzalez was a smuggler, and it was like, it was like neutral territory with Soviet Union, and the Brits couldn't get to the missing ATAC, so we had to get, who's our who do we hire for this? Who's like our usual guy? And it was a Greek smuggler, and I sort of like
I love that.
Bring back sort of the criminals who Bond fights, like just your smugglers. You're like,
well, that's I love when Bond, because it's everything's like super high stakes. It's like you have the government, like the British government, and Spectre, and like the worst terrorist organization. It's like, yeah, but there's lots of other criminals and heroes, like this is why I love like the Mathis character. Like he's just the guy that lives there.
Yeah, well,
he's like, I know how to get things. Like
you're talking about, like the industrialist column A, column B thing. It's like, especially since Brosnan on, it was like, if you're going to be like some industrialist type, Elliot Carver, Electra King, Dominic Green, we always have to give like a big speech, like a new era speech about their work. And there's always that, which always feels a bit weird. There's always like something taken from the headlines, like Elliot Carver's based on Robert Maxwell, who mysteriously died on his boat.
Right.
It's weird. And then you have the henchmen, and they sort of dial it up to 11, like how gimmicky are we going to be? And sometimes it works, like Jaws, an odd job. Yeah, it's just like such a distinctive thing and such a distinctive actor. Or it's like, this worked before. Like, I keep going back to the Red Grant knockoffs because You Only Live Twice as Hans. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it didn't work. You had Eric Kriegel in For Your Eyes Only, which he was at least sort of engaged in the plot, like he was the KGB contact, so that kind of sort of worked. But then it's like, okay, now Stamper, who is just weird. I don't know, just kind of just like there, a joke.
Square-jawed Aryan motherfucker, like.
Yeah, and begunstion of a gimmick.
I feel like the best way, like if we were Purvis and Wade, like find the interesting actor and then write the character.
Yeah.
I'm sure when they saw Richard Kiel, they were like, I don't know what. I just know he needs to be in the movie. I don't know what he's gonna do, but he's gonna be a bad guy, and we're gonna figure it out, along the way.
Yeah. Like, and whoever is the best supporting actor of the Oscars, you get them as a henchman.
Right. Yeah.
But
yeah, like
yeah,
I feel like they should step it down just a little bit, like like with For Your Eyes Only. Like, I love the mafia and the smuggling connection. In On Her Majesty's, like, my favorite bit, I was showing the film to my sister and she missed like the plot. She's like, I don't understand. Like, why does Bond have an army now? It's like, no, he doesn't have an army. He went back to work. They told him to fuck off. So what did he do? He called the mafia.
When you really need to get something done,
showed up for him to take down.
Monopoly couldn't refuse. I'm sorry, that was really corny. But like, even the henchmen, even the gimmicks. I was thinking, like, one thing I really liked in No Time to Die, you had Primo, Cyclops. Like,
yeah,
the gimmick was there, but it was like an interesting, like, almost goofy gimmick of a cyborg eye, but like he was just a good fighter. He wasn't like some weird crazy vendetta. He fought Bond twice, survived both times. Well, second time he didn't, but you know what I mean.
Right. And I mean that's actually one of the best henchmen we've had, probably the best one out of the Craig era for sure. It makes an impression right away in the movie.
The only real henchman we had. Oh no, we had Hinks. What am I saying?
And I like I think it's a total Cary Fukunaga idea of the whole eyeball on the pillow, taking it around the party, like just that kind of weird visual kind of techno horror thing. Like, yes, I loved that.
Like once I realized what was happening, it's like, oh, okay,
yeah.
Well, like that works. Like you have like Hinks, which is just the burly henchman archetype thing.
I was hoping that when they cast him, like they would, because they did so many cool things with that actor Batista in Blade Runner and Dune. Like I thought he was going to do some sort of physical thing, like a Jaws. Like he'd have something about him that made him even crazier looking than he already does.
Metal thumb nails,
right? Yeah. Not enough.
No. Well, it's like, I'm talking like even before, like, well, even in the Brosnan era, like, did we have, okay, if we don't count Renard as a henchman, because even though he was a twist, like Xenia on top.
Yeah, Xenia would be
but she was great because she was actively engaged in the plot, doing stuff along the way.
Right.
It wasn't just, hey, I'm a gimmick, I'm going to fight Bond.
Yeah. So yeah, that's another thing they need to do is just keep that henchman an active part of the story.
Mm-hmm.
But you can even say the Odd Job's not that. Odd Job's just there and he kicks his ass a bunch and he's super strong.
Like, okay, he dispatches of Joe Masterson or Tilly, whatever Masterson gets gold painted.
Oh, he kills them both.
That's true. Oh yeah, you're right. For Hat.
Yeah.
That was my roommates and I watched it. They had not seen Goldfinger before. They had no idea. They never heard of Odd Job. They never heard of Pussy Galore.
Oh, cool.
It gets to the Hat thing. You're like, what? So I guess that's a henchman working right.
Oh yeah.
But then you have like, oh god, like I'm trying to think of like, you got your License to Kill, whereas like you got Dario, and you have Truman Lodge, and you have what's his name? Crest. You have just all these other like minor guys.
Yeah.
Like Thunderball, there's Logov, and you got Vargas.
Yeah.
And the dude who breaks into Bond's room, and you got Fiona Volpe.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of still boils down to like sometimes they'll have the mini-me, like just there's the bad guy and then there's his enforcer muscle, and then sometimes you're lucky enough that you get like the female one who uses like sex with Bond to like get at him,
Yeah, what's her name? Spectre 11 in You Only Live Twice.
Ling.
Yeah, I'm forgetting her name, but Spectre 11.
You mean the one that
the red-headed crash who's in the plane?
Oh, I was like, man, that girl fucking double crosses him right at the start of the movie.
Oh god, yeah. Well, he died of a job. We would have wanted it that way.
Yeah. That movie's so great, but it's like, it's so, you have to watch it. It needs a disclaimer of like, man, this is some real 1967 shit. Like
it's like peak Bond mania. That's the movie. It's like,
yeah. And again, I would say that Donald Pleasance for villains was the least interesting to me of the Blofelds.
I would agree.
Best, obviously best lair. I mean, Jesus, that thing is still one of the best sets ever constructed.
Ken Adams went to town.
Yeah. Like Donald Pleasance is a good actor, but it was like, just didn't do anything.
I feel like it was just the look. It was the look that really like got such an iconic element.
That was exactly. That's what Dr. Evil is like. Everyone's like, yeah. Kill Bond now.
It's like, it's so funny because like we had Eric Pullman voicing Anthony Dawson as the body in Thunderball and From Much Love, where he's like, he's got hair. He's much more like confident, sitting high posture, and it didn't feel like that Blofeld when we got to You Only Live Twice.
See, now what I would propose to Bond fans is that it's Blofeld that's the code name. It's like, who's the head honcho or whatever, like that's just the name. Like maybe Ernst Stavro Blofeld was the very first Spectre boss, then he died, but now you're the next one is the new Blofeld.
And
That's
then
like
Franz
great.
Overhauser, and then when he dies, someone else
becomes Ernst Stavro Blofeld. Like, I think that would have been cool. Also, I love the, number 5, you didn't bring us enough money. Now you're gonna fucking die. And then Telly Savalas, who's my favorite Blofeld,
Same.
is so cool. And
Jumps
it might
in
just be the way he
bobsled,
holds a
fight
cigarette.
Bond.
Like, it's just, yeah.
I mean what I say, and I say what I mean.
Yeah. And, Charles Gray is just so over the top and fun.
Charles Gray, everything I've seen him in, he's just delightful.
Yeah. And then,
Like,
and then that was it,
drag.
right? We never got, we had the stupid Fear Eyes Only one where they didn't say his name. They couldn't.
No. And like the idea of it, Mrs. Blofeld, still wheelchair, neck brace, he's so fucked up from Bond. It's kind of cool, but then it's just helicopter death, torture thing.
So if you wanted to put it all in a continuity, so George Lazenby Bond dispatches Telly Savalas Blofeld, breaks his neck, never recovers. So he's too weak. He's kicked out of Spectre. Charles Gray is now the Blofeld. Mm-hmm. So now Telly Savalas Blofeld is still out there, pissed off.
Yeah. And Charles Gray Blofeld is arrested or killed while he's in the bathysphere, being knocked around by Bond on an oil rig out in, as Willard Wright would say, Baja.
Baja.
I don't have anything in Baja.
I don't know. Bond fans of the world, I have to ask you a question. When you go to the grocery store and you see Jimmy Dean sausages in the freezer section, are you like me and also shout Baja in your local grocery store? Because I do. It's my only connection to Jimmy Dean. I don't eat that shit. I don't know anything about him. I just remember him from Diamonds Are Forever. Like the actual guy.
God, Diamonds Are Forever is such a fun, it's weird.
I don't have anything in Baja.
And it's like this reclusive billionaire, Howard Hughes knockoff, and it's just that guy. It's not some older, decrepit guy. It's just like
the sausage
Jimmy
guy.
Dean.
Okay.
Sure. Okay.
I mean, you could tell they're rich in maple syrup. I mean, look at Connery's physique in that movie. Breakfast sausages.
Morrissey cannot unsee that now.
Yeah.
Okay, one last question for you for villains, because this is the appropriate question.
Yeah.
How do you like your villains to be dispatched?
That's a great question.
Because we've seen them die.
I'll chalk it up to the very last villain we saw dispatched. Saw Safin, right?
Capped.
Loved the arm break. Loved that. That's a good effect. Well acted.
The sound design on that.
Everyone, that was good filmmaking right there. Everybody brought it to that one little moment. And I kind of, I didn't mind the dispatching of that way, but like, don't do that again. It's like, once you open up, like, and I think it goes for all the villains, once you open up one way of doing a villain, that way is kind of closed. And we'll never run out of fun ways to think about killing bad guys in James Bond movies. So we just have to keep that creativity up. And if we get one that is just like a pop, Bond's just way too pissed to like do it cool.
Yeah, but
and I kind of get that. I'm like, so they gave us a really great arm break, but he's just like, I don't have time anymore. Bang, you're done.
Yeah. But the fact that they were fighting within like feet of a poison garden that had been set up.
I mean, I would have loved, because they set up the poison garden, they throw the doctor into it. And I was really hoping for like some, because like Fukunaga, his other work, like he's done some like really gross, like horror kind of looking stuff. And I was hoping for like a Raiders of the Lost Ark, like fucking skin melting or something.
Yeah, or just like his face
severe
like,
poisoning,
like spreads.
Yeah. Like when that chick gets stung in the mist.
Yeah.
Like just poison oak, but on times 1,000,
Yeah, like there needs to be some sort of like karmic undoing,
Yeah.
Like, Dominic Green's left him in the desert, just a bottle of, motor oil.
Yeah,
drink.
no, totally.
But then he also got shot. Not as cool. The chief gets capped, but that works in the story. you
Mhm.
know,
Trevelyan gets crushed by their own friggin' satellite.
after being the Freeland James, like that works. When you have, you know, Dr. No, Bond defeats Dr. No thanks to his disability. So he doesn't have hands, so he can't climb the pole.
Yeah.
Dark. Odd Job, killed by his own hat. Like,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
Stromberg, though, shot. Hero Direct,
Goldfinger gets sucked out of a plane. That's a good one.
Yeah. I just, yeah, like Scaramanga, shot, but that was a gun duel, so that worked.
I do feel like Kananga was a little too cheesy.
And it just didn't, like, he kills Baron Samedi in the Pit of Snakes.
Right.
That works. You couldn't drop Kananga into like a pit of his own drugs or something. You have to like,
or you know, the Crocs are back, or I don't know.
Yeah, like there was,
but yeah, it just seems like a Harry Saltzman idea that just
Sanchez is killed by his own cocaine because he's high as shit in that whole thing, as we've established several times over,
covered in gas,
and then killed by the lighter at Felix. Like,
yeah, Felix's lighter. Yeah,
like that is the perfect setup and payoff for villain death. And yet,
the Tomorrow Never Dies guy dies by
his own drill,
chainsaw dildo. Right? Yeah.
Sit with that for a moment.
Deep speed chainsaw dildo.
First rule of media, Elliot: give the people what they want. I'm a journalist. Pretty sure it's not the first rule.
Oh man.
Also, no setup for that in the movie prior.
I would love to watch that movie with a young person, because like everything in that is dead media. Like it's like, man, if we just had Twitter, this wouldn't be happening.
Well, Bond remote controlling his car with a flip phone video game thing.
Right? An N-Gage.
Oh my god. Like do we have like a nephew, a little brother, anyone we can like pull in on this? I'd love to do.
Yeah, one of those like kids react videos, like
kids react to Dr.
I just in-flooded every horrible moment from a Bond movie. I'm like, kids see for the first time, you know, man talk. Like
okay, maybe not, let's not go down the road. That's actually a bad idea. What was Vincent Schiavelli's weird doctor? Tomorrow Never Dies. I am Dr.
Oh, I'm to torture you if you don't do it.
Yes. I'm sorry.
I just watched that movie too.
I know. I was just talking to someone about this.
He was like a father to me.
Yes, it was Dr. Kaufman.
Dr. Kaufman, yeah.
I am Dr. Kaufman. I
need the code.
I have a medical.
I'm very
embarrassed.
embarrassed.
In criminal forensics. I could treat you from Stuttgart and have the same effect. What?
That would be something I would chase after for another movie, of like the cameo.
Just
like he's just another guy, but like that actor showed up and was ready to bring it. Like, I don't care if I'm only in 3 pages.
Like that one, the one Asian actor who was at the poker table in Casino Royale for ponytail, who keeps showing up as like an extra in all the other Craig films.
Yeah, because he's technically a Spectre agent.
Oh, yes, right. Yes, that's right. That's right. I always say about it, but yeah, but it's just Vincent Schiavelli just showing up like at a Rome meeting inspector. He's like, I am Dr. Kaufman. I am an agent of Spectre.
But like, even if they didn't talk, like it was just like one of those Easter egg things for the fans. But I'm like, oh man, they would never do it. But I would die.
Same mustache show.
Yeah, yeah.
Same effect. I could cameo in a movie and have the same effect.
Exactly.
Kind of switched into Connery there. I apologize. Okay. Before we wrap this up, to wrap this up, actually.
Yeah.
Villains. Give me your favorite villain, your favorite henchman, and your least favorite villain.
I'm an idiot because I'm like trying to think like earlier, like today, I'm like, what do I want to talk about on the show? I didn't even think about like what's my favorite villain. So now I'm on the spot. That
was my somebody laugh.
I would say Red Grant is my favorite villain. Henchman is Mayday. And least favorite, Probably like Whitaker, just because. Nothing against Jordan Baker. He came back and redeemed himself later in the series, but like,
Just, like very quickly.
yeah, but you had an opportunity to have a cool villain, and he was a toy guy, like tabletop games, whatever.
The idea of it was strong.
Yeah.
Bad execution.
Every time I watch The Living Daylights and he's got all of his little toys out, I keep thinking of John Larroquette and Stripes doing the same thing.
And now I will forever too. Thank you.
What about you?
Oh. Okay, this is a cop out because I've said it a million times before, but my favorite villain, Telly Savalas Blofeld. You got to give me Blofeld. You give me a guy who just nails it. Performance-wise, fights Bond, clever, cunning. Apologies, someone's driving a motorcycle outside my house. Favorite henchman? I want to say Xenia, but I'm actually gonna say Necros. Maybe it's an immediacy thing because I just rewatched Living Daylights.
Yeah,
but he's involved in the plot. He's like the blonde villain, the blonde henchman, but like done right. It's like,
oh,
I have ties with KGB, so I can't do this. They know me. He's tricking people left and right for disguises.
He's in Die Hard.
Yeah.
He's like almost the same function.
He's the brother of Carl.
Yeah, like serving the same function, but I don't care. Like, boy, you got one note, but I love the way you play it, dude. Like, very menacing, great physicality. Like, what
he was also in Mission Impossible.
He's in something else big.
Something else in the 80s, I think. But he was also in Mission Impossible as
that's
Max's bodyguard. And then he shows up in a cameo in Ghost Protocol.
Yeah.
And like he and Tom Cruise, they look at you like, you. That's a good touch. But least favorite villain.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say Koskov, but you said Whitaker's the main villain of that one. So,
I'd say so, yeah.
I might get grief for this, but I'm gonna say it again. Stromberg, just forgettable. Like, it's got Jaws. It's got what's his name? The wide guy, who Shandor.
Yeah. I mean, a tall guy and a wide guy. I give it too much credit of like, well, he's overshadowed by Jaws. Like, he's not just overshadowed by Jaws. Like, he is kind of nah. And like Spy Who Loved Me, like, is also one of those Bonds where, it's like Roger Moore at his best, where like, I really could give a shit what the story is. And
that's the thing. Like,
it's just following Roger Moore and your wacky adventures, and it ends
there's like three eras of a Roger Moore film. It's like your exploitation era, where he's a complete asshole in Live and Let Die and Man of Gold Gun. You have your epics, Spy Who Loved Me, Moonraker, which is big scope, big everything. But it's gonna be like this like star-crossed thing, and then we're gonna have like the big We Shift Wolf.
And then Roger Moore instantly gets old.
Yeah, and then he sort of de-ages For Your Eyes Only, but it's like mature spy doing spy stuff around the world, and then also View to a Kill.
Yeah. I mean,
now
that I read that, like, I didn't notice it until I was told that like Roger Moore got some serious plastic surgery done between Octopussy and A View.
Just like the facelift. Yeah.
Facelift. He got rid of his like mole. I'm like, oh man. Like, I do think he aged gracefully and bowed out at the
one film too late.
Nick of time.
I mean, hey, if he'd bowed out in 85, we might have actually had 85 A View to a Kill, Pierce Brosnan. Actually, no,
that's a whole other episode, but I feel like it
would have been Sam.
He wasn't Bond for the universe didn't let him be Bond for a reason. He wasn't quite ready. He needed some meat on his bones. Like, watching like the Diet Coke ad that was made for him as Bond, and I'm like, it's just he needed a little bit more life experience under him, like get some wrinkles, and then he did by GoldenEye, and it was wonderful.
He especially because GoldenEye realized, no, you're a seasoned spy, and also here's a 6-year time skip. So you need to not only look too young, you can't be young since you're aging you 6 years within the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Exactly. Yeah. And we've never had the greatness that's T-Dalt. So
that's true. So like those movies, weak. Timothy Dalton, great.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, we said this before in our awards video, but BAFTA noms are out. Oscar noms are coming soon.
Yes.
We may soon find out who will be best actor and therefore the next Bond villain.
Yep.
So we'll find out.
Yeah, man.
One quick question.
Yes.
One name. Who do you want to see as the Bond villain? What actor?
Oh shit. Sam Rockwell.
Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Oh yeah.
He was almost the inspector, which
Should've
also would have
been.
been weird.
That would have been really cool. And nothing against Andrew Lincoln or Andrew
Scott.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's talk about villains. We may have something else on a different category than Bond characters soon.
Yes,
An eye out.
very sooner than last time.
Much sooner. Yeah, we're back. We're back with a vengeance.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. So like, subscribe. I'm assuming there's like right below me there's a button.
Yeah.
But until next time, I'm Nicholas.
I'm Adam.
We'll
Take
be
care.
fellas. Goodbye.
Goodbye.